just kind of looking at the things that you guys have been a part of. Obviously, the Bricktown development, the Wonderbass School of Music at OCU, the Skirvin renovation. Tell me about the kind of historic preservation buildings and stuff, like the Colcord. Am I saying that right? Colcord Hotel that you've done. Like, that's a lot different to like steel, glass, modern, right? When you go to talking about historic preservation and a total different way of doing architecture work.
Well, in the Colcord, a lot of the terracotta detailing that you see around there was designed by Louis Sullivan. And Frank Lloyd Wright studied under Louis Sullivan. So it's really pretty unique to have a significant structure like that in downtown Oklahoma City. And when Colcord was built, originally it was built supposed to be a hotel.
Yeah.
Didn't work out. It was an office building. So finally we got to put it back as a hotel. But, in some of those historic structures, sometimes the best thing you can do is just kind of leave it alone and work what's there, not over-design it, not under-design it. Just kind of work with the historic fabric that's already built in to the project.
That must be super cool as well, to kind of go and like you said, you kind of just bringing out what's already been designed, right, and kind of preserving it rather than, it's always nice and creative to do other stuff, but part of like restoring history is kind of neat, isn't it?
Yeah. A lot of deals were made there, a lot of oil deals.
Yeah.
When we first took on the Colcord, the lobby, back in the day, you could smoke, and a lot of guys would be in there smoking cigars. So we cleaned off, a thick layer of just tar and nicotine from cigars. The walls were yellow. So if you've been in there lately, it's beautiful marble. It's really a great structure.
It is, for sure. And there's a long list, and I'm going to put all of the list that I have in front of me in the description so people can go to that and check out the stuff that you guys have done. One of the cool pictures in Oklahoma City, I think one of the coolest pictures you can take while you're here is when you're in the museum taking a picture of that airplane, Oklahoma City Museum. Over, you got the Capitol, but you guys have an involvement in that building too, right?
We designed that building, developed the concepts. It was a national design competition. They started with 45 firms, a lot of local firms, but firms from New York, LA, Chicago, Miami. So we were just lucky that our design was selected. Yeah. And kind of the theory behind that, Bob Blackburn, who was the director at the time, his hopes was to get the Winnie Mae, that airplane that's hanging there, that Wiley Post, and Will Rogers died in. And he wanted us to design a prominent location for that. And at the time, the dome was not built on top of the Capitol. So we went to the side, kind of did a side analysis and looked and thought, if the dome could get built someday, what a backdrop.
Right.
So we kind of used that and pulled the Capitol and dome into our design by that large glass panel system, which is over 100 foot tall. Yeah. So we just kind of hung the plane in there and kind of designed that as a permanent exhibit. And so we wrapped the entire museum complex around that concept. And then if you look at it in plan, we also just wrapped around the cloverleaf piece, as you exit off the drive. Yeah. The other design solutions by the other architectural firms that were shortlisted and submitted design were all rectilinear solutions facing south. Toward the governor's mansion, but we wanted to orient it toward the Capitol and toward downtown, and just thought that was
well, people get married at that location now, right? People have wedding ceremonies like in front of that, in front of the plane or under the plane in front of the building. It's a cool spot. When I walked into that building, it's just like, whoa, like you don't expect it if you've never been there before, which is it's a cool spot. And then the building that's not too far away from that, which is the Department of Wildlife, that's a mad building. Right? Like, you talk about wildlife and like the waterfall and everything that's in there. I walked in there, I'm like, this is nuts.
Well, that building originally was, the first phase was designed by Bill Howard, who was a Frank Lloyd Wright student. And so when we renovated the building and added on, we tried to keep with that same character. So our addition to the north and on the backside to the west is very Wrightian to stay with that character. And we met some of the greatest people in these projects, like Bob Blackburn, Neil Horton, but on the Wildlife Building, got to meet John Grondike out of Enid, Oklahoma. And he'd been the Wildlife Commission, the head of the commission for like 44 years. And now the building's named after him, which is very appropriate. But they challenged us to design a building that would really establish the character of all the different parts of Oklahoma and the wildlife. It also was a design competition. In the interview process, we had to bring a design concept, and we did. We did a study model. And pretty much the design that we brought to the competition is what got built. But Paula Beck in our firm did a lot of the interiors with others, but it's one of the really neat features in there is where you go to get your hunting license. Paula designed that like a duck blind, so it's got all the camo and everything on there. So it really does, I think, express Oklahoma, different species, and really another great project to work on. And it's amazing that all these different people have trusted us to design these buildings. I mean, architects were good at spending other people's money. And like the History Center was some over 50 million, 53 million. The National Weather Center was 60, 70 million. And it's kind of shocking that people will really trust you to spend that much money on their buildings. So it's a lot of fun.
Yeah. Well, and you guys have the involvement in the Myriad Gardens too, right?
We did years ago. We did master plan for Myriad Gardens. I Am Pay was the original master plan, and then we did an update. And then we renovated. There was a section, south section below the Crystal Bridge that had never been occupied because day one it leaked.
Okay.
And so working with Jim Talbert and his group, they said, well, what can we do with this? It's leaked from day one. And they've had several companies try to stop it. So I said, well, Jim, let's just let it leak. And he said, well, I've never heard an architect that say, well, let's let the building leak. And it was leaking through the walls because it was below grade. So we just came out with a new wall, about 3 feet, waterproofed it, let it leak so it's like an internal gutter, and we run it down and pump it out. And so, we got this wet wall. And so they were able to occupy that. And so our role was developing this educational space below grade that opened out into the Crystal Bridge and the water. So another really a lot of fun to work on that project.
Yeah, no doubt. And it's when you go to the website and you see the things that you're involved with, and it's not just here, right? You guys have an office in Tulsa and New York City as well. So is that just general expansion that's happened over the years?
It is, and all the great projects I've got to work on, a lot of times I get the credit for it, but we have such a strong staff, and there's no way these projects could have been accomplished by any one individual, and not certainly by myself. I mean, it's thrilling to be part of the design team, but there's a host of engineers, acousticians, theater consultants, CAD people, interior people. So it takes a really strong, powerful, really creative team to make all this stuff happen.
I guess getting to this point then, with obviously 40 years, what's next? Where's it going? You don't strike me as the person who's slowing down anytime soon.
Well, the way I look at it, I was 27 when the firm started, so I've had a lot of great opportunities. I've been up to the plate many times and really lucky, really blessed. And we have so much more talent in the firm. The people in the firm now are much more talented than I've ever been. So it's time to kind of just step back, and I want to see what all these young creative people, what they're going to do over the next 40 years. So, the firm has great potential. We have a great backlog. We have some amazing projects on the boards that we're working on. And the strongest talent that we've ever had in 40 years is now at the firm.
Good place to, you probably feel pretty, some people I've interviewed in the past, they kind of like, they don't want to let the reins go because they're worried that no one can do it as good as them. But it's good to hear you say that, right? That you have confidence in the people coming behind you, that you know that, hey, even if I was to just kind of stop and not be around as much, like this place is still going to be running and they're still going to do great things.
Hey, there's someone always better than you. Our key, and what I've always tried to do, is make sure the best work that we produce is the best that we're capable of. But there's always someone out there who's better. So we're always looking for that better person. So, we have done a lot of great work, but I really kind of call it good work because the best work, our best project's going to be the next one.
No doubt.
Each one gets better than one before.
Yeah, because you learn and learn, and you,
So it takes a lot of practice.